Hello, beautiful, wonderful women. Welcome to episode 2 of the True Love podcast. I have so much that I want to say, and I just have so much difficulty organizing it all in my head, and I just kept putting off recording, so eventually I just pushed record. So let me give you a little bit of an update about what's happened since yesterday. I put up a Facebook post and it said this: "Hi friends, I'd love your help. I'm looking to speak to women who found love and had kids in their early 40s. If you are in that position or know someone who is, I'd love to chat with them to get advice. It's for a side project I'm working on." And wow, so I said this is a really embarrassing post, but hopefully the ends justify the means and it can help me and others find love. And it was really difficult posting this, and afterwards I was really surprised at how embarrassed I felt. I almost had this moment where I said to myself, I hate myself, for no particular reason, just it felt really weird to put such a vulnerable part of myself out there, and almost it felt kind of egotistical in a way, as if I was seeking attention in a way that was kind of ugly or dirty or uncouth. In any event, I opened my email this morning and I received this wonderful email from a woman named Megan who said, "I'm exactly in that position. I met my husband when I was 39 and now I have kids and wants to come here and talk to me on the podcast." And I just felt really encouraged and inspired even reading that email. And I have this sense that one thing I haven't tried yet in my quest for love is just surrounding myself with people who have successfully found love and had children. And I feel like if I surround myself with friends like that maybe I will pick up some things from them, just modeling kind of who they are in the world, and get a sense of what a real relationship is and what it really means to find love and partnership and have kids at this stage of my life. Then I opened my Facebook and I saw that I had received 33 likes and all of these beautiful comments. My cousin said, "You deserve all the happiness in the world. Precious cousin, what is more worthy to seek than love?" Sending hugs. This lovely friend from high school said, "You're so lovely. I hope you find all the love you're seeking and more." My friend Abby wrote, "My sister once said to me that a desire for love and intimacy is the most normal, healthy, and human of all emotions. And yet somehow we've conditioned to believe it's embarrassing to admit. Hopefully this is a narrative we can all take part in changing." So I felt so, usually when I'm posting, it's about my business and education and not about myself personally, something so intimate. And it felt amazing to receive all this affirmation from friends and family. And not that I was doing something weird and embarrassing, but doing something worthwhile that could help me and hopefully help all of you as well. So I'm feeling excited. I already have 2 interviews lined up. One is tomorrow, and I can't wait to see what I learn from all of that. And, it struck me kind of what Abby said, this idea that we're not supposed to seek love. I read a book by John Berger called Make Your Move, and it's all about how women now in our society, we are told that we can take control over almost every aspect of our lives, except dating. And in dating, we're told that we have to wait and be chaste. So many times I have been told, when you are ready, he'll come. When you stop wanting him, he'll come. Not that if you're strategic and you do inner work and you focus on this goal, he'll come. And that is kind of why I decided to do this podcast, because after reading John's book, I really felt like, you know what, instead of just not wanting him and then he'll come, what if I did the opposite? What if I actually put all of my energy and time towards this goal that I want to achieve? What if that's the answer? It's kind of funny because a lot of time we're given this terrible advice of just wait around and he'll come, or don't chase men. And I can guarantee you, I've been on both sides of the equation. I have pretended I didn't like guys and they never knew that I was interested. And I've done the opposite, where I went through Tinder every single day and invited 10 guys out to coffee. And I will tell you the results are exactly the same. So I just want to give you the encouragement that you can be powerful and you can be strategic about your dating. I have been looking for someone for so long, it's almost embarrassing. And I have thought so many times that it must be something that's wrong with me, that I'm looking and I can't find someone. And that may very well be true. But I will say I have done all the hard work and I have been willing to look at myself and change. So I can say that I have done the best that I can. A while ago, I made a decision that I was not going to be passive participant in my love life, but I was going to be an active participant in my love life. There's this beautiful CD series by one of my spiritual teachers, Adyashanti, called The Red Thread of Desire. And I am not a philosopher of Buddhism, so please take this as you may. This is my own interpretation. It's not the official scholarly spiritual interpretation. But the way I interpreted this idea of the red thread of desire is that you take the desire that's in your heart and you follow it all the way through instead of ignoring it or repressing it. And for a long time with my dating life, I did have this idea that there was something wrong with me for wanting a boyfriend, for wanting a husband, that I wanted this because I had watched too many Disney movies, that because of all the social expectations, because my father abandoned me before I was born, because I wasn't filling myself enough from the inside, so I was looking for someone to be filled from the outside. And that if I just stopped wanting it, then it would come away. Or that I shouldn't even want it. I shouldn't need a man to feel fulfilled. And that's all very true. But what I found is that when I really listened to what my heart wanted and didn't judge it, even though I still haven't found what I'm looking for, I've learned so much more. And when I look back at my life, this desire within me, for better or for worse, has taken me to so many amazing places. Just to begin with, when I was in college, I got a crush on a guy, and he was in this Israeli-Palestinian dialogue group on my campus. And I didn't really know very much about Israeli-Palestinian dialogue, but I joined the group because I thought he was cute. And we never ended up dating, but I ended up becoming the facilitator of that group during the Second Intifada in the West Bank, and traveling and talking to women who are in dialogue efforts in the Israeli and Palestinian side. And I think I had a positive impact in that community, and I also learned so much about there not being just two opinions in a conflict, but millions of nuances of perspective. And so that crush brought me to this whole amazing new reality. And then in my 20s, I got so depressed that I didn't have a boyfriend. Like the Avenue Q song, so why don't I have a boyfriend? It sucks to be me. And because of that, I ended up doing this 3-year spiritual program where I felt, I was willing to challenge myself and grow as a person because I wanted this life partner so badly that I was willing to do really hard work and listen to really difficult things people had to say about me because I wanted this so much. And I ended up starting my first business and making more friends than I'd ever had, and finding joy in my life. It also led me to the Brooklyn Zen Center. Funnily enough, I thought, maybe if I get involved in Zen Buddhism, I'll meet some guys, because I was in the theater at that time and there were not a lot of straight guys around who were available to date. So I thought maybe, it seems like there are a lot of cool guys in Zen. And I didn't end up dating anyone at my Zen center, but I ended up going there and meditating 9 or 12 hours a week and finding I sat through the fire staring at a wall, and this incredible peace grew within me. And I remember being on a rohatsu, which is a 7-day Zen retreat where you basically sit staring at a wall next to people. And I was on this quest for true love, right? My whole life has been defined by this quest for finding my one true love. And sitting next to these people in silence, there were times I felt like inside me was a volcano, and I would just, burst into flames if I sat there one more moment, and in these kinds of retreats, you're cooking dishes, you're cleaning, you're getting so irritated at different people for different reasons. And at the end of a retreat, I experienced this incredible sense of love for every single person there and the whole world. And it wasn't kind of a mushy, sentimental love, but it was an awareness that we're all part of this one big fabric. And, this is me describing that feeling, but the felt sense of that connection and that love between all beings, strangely going to the Zen center to meet guys, which felt very cliche and superficial, led to me discovering this profound, deep love that exists between me and everyone in the entire world, the red thread of desire. So then when I moved to Austin, I started to become really more aware of this red thread of desire as something I wanted to follow in my life. And that's when I did my 90 dates in 90 days, because I said, I have this desire. I can't turn away from it and say, this is silly. This is just part of society. I don't really need this, because it still exists within me. So why don't instead of saying like, I'm going to stop wanting a guy and then maybe I'll come, or maybe I don't even need to be with someone. Marriage is stupid. People told me you're going to be so disappointed when you finally get married. Maybe instead I'll move towards this and see what happens. And at the same time, I started to release my expectation of a result and see that just following this desire that was so clearly in my heart when I asked myself, what do I most want? It took me down the most amazing roads of self-discovery. And so I want to be honest, in the last couple weeks, months, I have started to get feeling really defeated about finding a life partner. I'm 43. The idea that, I can still have children, but it's much more difficult, much more rare. It feels very unrealistic to think that at this stage in my life I can have kids. I'm not stupid. And also my life is so fully developed that I sometimes feel like, it's going to be so hard to connect with someone at this stage in my life and change my life around in all these ways, when I'm meeting this new person. But I looked back inside my heart and I realized that I still want this. And as long as I still have this, I still want to have a husband and I want to have children with someone I love, and my body, by all doctors' reports, is still capable of it. I can either choose to ignore it and give up, or I can choose to continue to follow this red thread of desire. And so I've chosen to follow the red thread of desire because I feel that if I follow what's in my heart, I will get closer to my truth. And there's a quote by Jesus. It's in, I think, the Gospel of Tom. And what he says is something to the effect of, what you bring forth will save you, and what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Somehow in my mind, this quote became, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. What you bring forth will set you free. And so in order for me to live in my own health and well-being, I am choosing to bring forth what's in my heart. And that doesn't mean that I don't judge it. That doesn't mean that it's not coming from some cultural conditioning. Maybe by following this path, I will undo some of my cultural conditioning. But I'm choosing to bring forth what's in my heart and to follow it fiercely and with passion. So that's the red thread of desire. What you do not bring forth will kill you. What you bring forth will save you. So don't let anyone ever tell you that what you want and what you hope is something that you should ignore or not pay attention to. I always kind of laugh because when I think about, these dating coaches or these spiritual advisors who say, the reason that you can't find love is because you're too needy. I mean, actually, if you look around you, there's plenty of needy women who are in relationships. In fact, if you're needy, it's probably easy to find a relationship because you have no standards. You're so needy that you're willing to be with anyone to help fill the void in your heart. I don't need someone to fill the void in my heart. My heart is full, and yet I have this desire. And it's not wrong to have desires and needs. That's what makes you human. Perhaps one day, through following this desire, I'll realize I'm happy where I am and I'll be at peace. But I have to follow it through to find that out. Maybe your desire is also finding a partner and having children. And I hope you approach that with openness and reflection about where that desire is coming from. But you're going to learn a lot more going for it than not taking that first step. That's at least what I believe. So, the red thread of desire. I also do want to speak to the topic of self-love. When I started my dating journey, I did not love myself, or else at least I did not perceive myself as loving myself. And yesterday when I put that thing on Facebook, I had another moment of feeling loathing for myself, but I was able to snap out of it really quickly because I have mechanisms. And what I want to suggest to you is that for me, it's funny. I do a lot of manifestation stuff. My friends and I just made a manifestation board. And I found that there's some things that I'm really good at manifesting, like a parking spot. If I set my intention towards a parking spot, one appears. I find that I'm really good at manifesting housing. Like if I imagine the ideal place I want to live, somehow I just find the perfect apartment. Or I'm really good at manifesting having enough money. Like if I write a budget, the money just comes in. But for some reason, everything I've tried, it's been very difficult for me to manifest a healthy relationship. What is much easier is to manifest self-love. And I think that, a lot of people, there are these things that we want in our life, so we never kind of manifest these more subtle things like loving ourselves. So first of all, you can just set an intention to love yourself, that's something you want. Why love yourself? Because you're going to feel happier loving yourself. You're going to you're going to be a better friend to be around if you love yourself. You're going to set a better example for younger women, for younger people that you know, for other friends in your life by loving yourself. And oddly enough, the best place to start is simply just look in the mirror and say, I love you. When I started doing that, it was one of my spiritual teachers, Alice McDowell at Light on the Hill, who suggested to me that I should look in the mirror and say, I love you. And it was very weird for me at the time. I told her there was no way I could possibly do it. And her advice was basically just fake it until you make it. And weirdly, that worked. So every day, even though I felt really ick about it, I just looked in the mirror and said, I love you. And eventually, that started to become true. Really weird. Then, after that, there was a lot of things that happened along the way. I wasn't in this constant state of love with myself, but there are a few things that have been very helpful for me in my self-love path. First of all, it's just basic self-care, whatever that means to you: getting up, brushing your hair, cleaning up after yourself, eating healthy meals. So there's just what are the things that you need to keep yourself going and be healthy as a human being? Super helpful for self-love. exercise. Some people exercise a ton and are miserable. Other people don't exercise and are unhappy. I find if I'm feeling a little down, just going to the gym, getting on the bike, taking a walk outside, just getting my heart rate up is really positive. And then the other thing is meditation. A lot of you might find that you don't have time to meditate, or meditation doesn't work for you. Meditation is not clearing your mind. I have lived at Zen centers where I meditated 12, 15, 20 hours, and not once did my mind not have a thought. It just keeps running and running. But somewhere in that moment of thinking to reflecting on the fact that I'm thinking, this really beautiful transformation started to take place in me. So when I need to return to myself, I actually just start very simply. I use an app called Headspace. There's also a beautiful meditation by Carlos called Self-Love. I'll share it with you in the show notes, or you can look it up on YouTube. It's just listening to it as I walk around, make my tea, clean. I just feel better. So with Headspace, I just start with a guided meditation. You can start with as little as a minute, as 5 minutes, and somehow that just changes the entire course of my day to start with that meditation. They have really good 10-day, 20-day, 30-day meditations. So Headspace. And then, I think that when people are thinking about self-love, they don't think about nutrition enough. Because when I was doing a ton of meditation, I was so focused on self-care. I was doing 15 hours a week of meditation at the Zen Center, meeting with a teacher. I was going running every day and doing yoga. And I felt like, okay, all of this, I should be pretty much happy. I'm doing everything. I was going to church once a week. But in all of that, I still had this kind of low level of anxiety. And I did this cleanse by a woman in Maine named Charlotte Clues. And it was amazing. Basically, there are other cleanses that have worked just as well, but it was a 2-week cleanse, very well structured. The first 3 days, I cut out wheat, dairy, alcohol, caffeine, and then the middle period, you kind of get even stricter, and it becomes mostly vegetables, green leafy vegetables, tahini. It was very high in fat. And then you ease back into having more fruit and grains. And after those 2 weeks, my anxiety completely disappeared. And that's happened to me every single time I did a cleanse. And everybody's body works in a different way. I know that I'm a lot happier when I'm eating lots of really nice olive oil and avocados, having a lot of dark leafy greens, tahini, cutting back on caffeine. Definitely alcohol. That doesn't really work for anybody's happiness, even though I love a glass of wine as much as the next person. But I think that if you have been struggling with being happy for a while and, cutting out alcohol, going to therapy, spiritual work hasn't worked for you, considering doing something like a cleanse can be really powerful. So just a quick meditation and some kind of cleanse to get, this happiness in your body going again. Earlier this year, I went on a trip all over Europe with my mom, a beautiful train trip. We started in Amsterdam, we went to Bordeaux and Paris and London, and on the train ride, I noticed through conversation with my mother that I was making a lot of negative reflections on my appearance. I didn't even realize to what extent. She would take pictures of me and I would be like, oh, I look so horrible. And after a while, I realized that this behavior, which has been going on for 20 years, was starting to really grate on my mom. And at the end of the trip, I made a decision. And I looked at my mom and I said, I'm going to change my relationship to my appearance. I am going to feel beautiful. And it was funny because I knew, okay, manifesting a relationship with a guy is hard, but I can change my perception about myself without much effort. In fact, in the past, when I was single, I thought I was ugly. Then I would date a guy and think I was the hottest thing in the world. And then I would feel ugly again when we broke up. So obviously, the way that I viewed my own beauty was malleable and flexible. So what I did is, first of all, every day I would look in the mirror and tell myself I was beautiful. I even made a to-do list where telling myself that I was beautiful was part of the to-do list. So every day I would tell myself I was beautiful. I had to do it every single day, and it had to be genuine. I had to notice something about myself that was really pretty, just as I would notice something handsome about a man I was in love with. So I would have to say, your beautiful nose, your beautiful lips. And then sometimes I would notice something ugly about myself, like, oh, you have a double chin. That's my thing with myself. Or you have a big belly. And I would have to stop myself and I would say, I love you, Chin. You're so beautiful, Chin. Makes your face so soft and lovely and makes children love you. You have such beautiful eyes. And I really made an intentional effort to stop seeing myself as an ugly person and start seeing myself as a beautiful person for my own peace of mind, but also for all of the lovely young girls who are now struggling with anorexia, bulimia, self-hatred, because we, the older women, are setting a bad example for them. So, I mean, it was really awesome that I could manifest something so well. It's just developing a positive self-image. And I have to say, I'm pretty proud of myself. And the reality is, some people are going to find me ugly. Some people are going to find me stunningly beautiful. But truly, I mean, if we're logical, what matters is how I feel about myself and loving myself. So I'm really excited for what's to come. I just can't tell you how grateful I am to you for tuning in, because you are holding me accountable to following my heart's desire to its fruition. It was even hard to sign in again today, but knowing that there were people who were watching that I had promised I was going to be here for helped bring me here today. Yesterday, I read an article that it's good to kind of limit your Tinder use. So I just did 15 minutes in the morning, 15 in the evening. I have a date tomorrow. I'm not really looking forward to it. I feel uncomfortable and nervous, but I'm going to go. I'm going to show up. And I'm really excited about these women I have lined up to talk to you about. I want to learn all about how they found love in their early 40s. And I am renewing my commitment to love myself, and I hope that you will too. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow to give you the updates.